Good afternoon to everybody. We'd like to thank the Safan family, to Leah and Shaya Safan for sponsoring this short Torah. It's commemorating the Yortzeit, first of all, of Leah's father, that he should have Bezat Hashem and Aliyah Began Eden. And also it's celebrating the wedding anniversary. There should be again a Mazal Tov, and Shaya's birthday also a Mazal Tov. Shaya, who's got connections or is influenced by Chabad, so the Lubavitcher Rebbe very much was makpid that people celebrated their birthday, because the mazel on the day that a person's born is stronger. So we wish you a Mazal Tov, and that everything should in your life should go well. The Parsha of Teitzei is so packed with mitzvot, about 70 mitzvot, Aseh and Not Aseh. And one of the principles that emerges in this Parasha is the principle that we all know of, which is mitzvah goreret mitzvah. The Torah tells us of a mitzvah of Shiluach Hakan, that if a person wants like eggs or little chicks, and the mother bird is hovering over the chicks, so he has to first send away the mother bird, that she shouldn't witness and she shouldn't see how her chicks are being taken away. And then afterwards, that's the first mitzvah. And then there's another mitzvah which seems to be totally unrelated, that when a person builds a new house, and in those days especially, the roofs were flat and people used to work on the roofs. So a person has to be very careful to build like a parapet around the roof, so that it should be safe, and that the person shouldn't be the instrument of someone else falling. And then the last one, the next mitzvah is that a person should, if he's got a vineyard, that he should be careful not to sow the vineyard with climbs. So Rashi says, what's the connection with all these mitzvot? They seem to have no connection. Why the one follows the others? What's the sequence in this Mishnah? So in these mitzvot, so Rashi tells us a principle. He says that you can't find an intrinsic connection, but he says that it reflects this idea of mitzvah goreret mitzvah. One mitzvah causes another mitzvah. It drags, so to speak, like a train dragging the coaches. So one mitzvah brings about another. So Rashi says, if a person was zocher to fulfill the mitzvah of Shiluach Hakan, then Hashem will reward him with another mitzvah. He will reward him with a house. From the house, he'll fulfill the mitzvah of a parapet, and from that, he'll have another mitzvah, the mitzvah of sowing the vineyard in a proper way. Now, I want to share with you something that Rabbi Goldfein, Zecher Tzadik Levacha, he was a Rosh Yeshiva in South Africa, and he heralded from Cleveland, America, in the yeshiva. He learned in the yeshiva of Telz. He was still belonged to the old school. He was clean shaven, an amazing man. And he used to stress very, very much something that he said we don't find so much today in the religious world. And he used to quote from Pirkei Avot, the fourth perek, in the second Mishnah. It says, Ben Azai Omer, a person should run after an easy mitzvah, and he should run away, flee from mitzvah. And then the Ben Azai used to say, quote, this principle that we spoke about, mitzvah goreret mitzvah, because one mitzvah causes another mitzvah, avera goreret avera, schar mitzvah schar avera. So Rabbi Goldfein used to draw attention to something like this. It says, it doesn't say, it says that we must run after what? A very easy mitzvah. He says, run after an easy mitzvah, and that mitzvah will cause then that you should do other mitzvot. So this is what he used to say. He used to say that when Ben Azai speaks about this concept mitzvah goreret mitzvah, he emphasized the fact that the way to start off this whole cycle is to always run after an easy mitzvah. And he said, Rabbi Goldwyn used to say in his time, in the 50s and beforehand, he says that the Lithuanian Rosh Yeshivas, that they used to do everything in their power in order to make things easier, because they understood that if Yiddishkeit would start off, they're not looking for a summer camp. Vadai, like in Pirkei Avot, it ends, it says, the Fum Tzara Agra, according to the effort, so is the reward. But the way to start everything rolling is that a person should do something which is easy. It applies not only to mitzvot, it applies also to learning. And the Vilna Gaon, in many of his works, in his works on Mishnah and others, he said a person should always start off with something which is easy. And when you start off something which is easy, so then you'll go to the next stage and you can tackle that which is more difficult. And I was thinking actually that everything that is written is actually in Tehillim. In Tehillim, David HaMelech says in Tehillim Kuf Lamed Aleph 131, it says, Shir Amalek lo David Hashem lo gava libi, I was never like haughty, v'lo ramu einai, my eyes weren't like lifted up, in other words, I wasn't conceited, v'lo halachti b'gdolot v'niflaot mimeni. I never went in a path which was greater and more wondrous than me. I never tried to do something beyond my reach. Very interesting about that. David HaMelech himself should say that. And that's what mitzvah, goreret mitzvah, and together with what Ben Azai is saying, is teaching us. Start off something which is easy. And a person should then do it constantly. And then, not with a mind that that's how it should remain. But if it's easy, there'll be a love, there'll be an attachment, there won't be a rebellion, and I'm talking about a psychological rebellion, and then the person can go from madrega to madrega. This is the great principle of mitzvah goreret mitzvah, together with the explanation, elaboration of Ben Azai, hevei ratz, not the mitzvah. It doesn't say run to do a mitzvah. It says run to do an easy mitzvah. And then Bezat Hashem will be matzliach. Shabbat shalom to everybody.